Right now, the National Weather Desk, severe weather strikes again across the country, from flooding in Texas to downed trees in Pennsylvania.
Something hard hit the house.
We'll explain lightning dangers that can appear when you don't expect it.
It's referred to as out of the blue lightning because, as you can see here, it occurs when we have blue sky.
Why knowing weather conditions is so important for helicopter pilots battling wildfires.
The higher the wind, the lower that they're going to have to be when they deliver that wire so it doesn't kind of blow away.
AI is playing a new and often critical role in the future of forecasting.
It takes in radar and satellite data 4 times more rapidly than any other model.
And the weather that morel mushroom hunters crave as they search for their prized wild fungus.
It's definitely like an Easter egg hunt. It's a little bit of gold fever.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. Severe weather moved across Texas on Tuesday. While there were no tornadoes, there were multiple reports of hail and flooding. This was the scene in College Station, about 90 miles northwest of Houston. Water filled many streets and backyards. You can see the water comes up to the car doors on this street. There was also flooding north of Austin. Many drivers plowed through a foot or more of water just to get into a local Starbucks. There is a threat of more severe weather in Texas today, but the greatest risk is in South Texas, including Sugar Land. The state's major cities, including Houston, San Antonio, and Dallas, face a slightly lower risk of storms that could bring large hail and also wind damage. It wasn't rain, but snow that fell in the Denver area on Tuesday. The city saw an inch or less of snow, but the foothills saw half a foot or more, with up to 2 feet falling in the mountains. That's good news for the 5 ski resorts still open in that state. And a serious situation unfolded yesterday in Edmonton, Canada. Several businesses were forced to evacuate as a grass fire burned out of control. The fire burned next to a busy highway with heavy smoke billowing into the air. The fire comes during dry, hot, and windy conditions across Alberta. Parts of Pennsylvania are recovering after days of severe storms packed with strong winds, rain, and a tornado. Many trees came down, including some on homes. TJAnthony is just outside Harrisburg with one family's story.
Something hard hit the house.
This oak tree fell, cutting right through Jonna and Tom Bennett's Mechanicsburg home overnight Monday as storms rolled through central Pennsylvania. The tree fell into 2 of the kids' rooms. Jonna thanks a higher power they were not in the room at the time.
It makes me emotional because, like, my daughters, if they were sleeping in there, the morning, it wouldn't have been the same.
Right now, the roof is caving into their daughter's room, which is covered with insulation and is unrecognizable.
Looking through the pictures now and just seeing all the debris on their beds is devastating.
Skyview 21 flying over the home, now covered with tarp. These pictures right there show the visible extent of the damage that extends from the back to the front of the home. Not all the damage is easy to spot, though. The couple says a contractor told them the entire home shifted after the tree fell.
It's been a wet first week of May in the Texas Panhandle. More than 3 inches of rain fell over the past 7 days. The city normally gets a little more than 2 inches all month. As Drew Powell shows us, the wet weather is putting a damper on what visitors can do at popular state parks.
Trails are closed. They will be for quite a few days. And we have gates at the front of every trailhead. When you come out, if you plan on still coming out, it's a great view from the road, but stay off the trails.
Yes, we're from Paducah, Kentucky, and we just had torrential rains. 3 inches of rain don't deter us. We're enjoying ourselves. We're still sightseeing, enjoying the views. They're spectacular.
We have a trail crew that comes out and helps replace bridges that may have gone out and repair any kind of damage done to the trails.
And after a couple of days of rain, that traditionally means the sun will be coming back out in the future. It should be anywhere between 4 to 5 days to maybe a week or even potentially longer before the trails reopen.
The continued wet weather that Texas and other parts of the country are seeing is due to something called a cutoff low. Meteorologist Noah Hawk explains the weather phenomenon.
Well, first off, we need to go back to our upper level flow because it helps to influence the weather we experience here at the surface. within that jet stream, we're going to have upper level lows form, but every now and again we can see that sometimes these upper level lows will get kicked out of the jet stream and become cut off lows. So they'll eventually end up wherever they are and park it for a few days, since that jet stream isn't there to help it move along across the U.S. Now, with low pressure systems, we're going to have that counterclockwise flow, which is going to help initiate upward motion. And with that upward motion, we start to get the condensing of clouds to help initiate those showers and even sometimes some storms. So as we talk about cutoff lows, they especially can bring some torrential downpour, because since they are sitting in one area for a few days, they're really going to tap into all of the moisture in that area, and the condensing air is going to help to wring out the atmosphere and even cause for the chance for some torrential downpour.
Crews are using helicopters to battle wildfires in eastern North Carolina, but using this equipment is more complicated than dropping water on the flames. The U.S. Forest Service's helicopter program manager breaks down the process to Elena Laster.
With ENC's wildfire season in full swing, fires are popping up throughout the region. And officials with the U.S. Forest Service say these fires are fought with a variety of resources.
Decisions are going to be driven by the unique conditions of each fire. By and large, aviation is there to support the resources that are on the ground.
That was Matt Kampf. He is the helicopter program manager with the U.S. Forest Service. And he says that support is done in many ways. But with helicopters like this one here, it is mainly through water drops.
Bucket here is a 660-gallon bucket, but depending on the aircraft that we're dealing with, we could go, the smallest ones, other Soyuz helicopters that we use, are going to be about 180, and they'll go up to 1,000.
I'm standing here next to the bucket to show you the scale of how large this bucket exactly is. The main question for these water drops, however, is where exactly the water will come from, especially because here in ENC, much of our water is salty.
Salt water is going to be real difficult on the materials, both for aviation and for pumps on the ground. It's just corrosive as opposed to fresh water.
But that's not the only problem with salt water.
And the other thing that we don't want to do in most ecosystems is deliver water that has salinity onto plants that require fresh water.
Kampf says the water source isn't the only question that they have to answer, but also how the winds are affecting the fire.
Winds are going to affect that with the direction that the pilot approaches it, and also the higher the wind, the lower that they're going to have to be when they deliver that water so it doesn't kind of blow away.
It's estimated that 100 lightning flashes occur every second somewhere on Earth. That adds up to nearly 8 million per day. Sometimes those flashes can come when the skies are blue. Meteorologist Evan Chikvera has more on the dangers you may not see coming.
It's referred to as out of the blue lightning because, as you can see here, it occurs when we have blue sky. A lot of people think if you're under blue sky, you can't be struck by lightning, right? Wrong. If you can hear thunder, you're close enough to be struck. Here's how it works. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, does it? Everything else that happens with a thunderstorm, we're beneath the cloud. Hail, rain, even wind. So why is lightning any different? Well, once the thunderstorm forms, it matures. There's a lot of charges happening, and especially at the top of the cloud. You get a lot of positive charges that'll build up, and they arc out towards things at the surface. Buildings, trees, even you and me, if we happen to be outside. And yes, they can extend 25 miles in under a second. You will not see it coming, and blue sky will be over your head. So a couple things to remember. Don't ever get under a tree, second leading cause of death. And because it can travel that fast, you don't even want to mess with being outside. Even though only 20% of strikes are cloud to ground, they're very dangerous, and you can't tell which one is coming next. Top 5 states, Alabama in this survey, number 3 for most lightning strikes. With thunder roars, just go indoors. Whatever you're doing, it can wait 30 minutes. Get back out there. There's 51 fatalities a year with respect to lightning, and more people are actually struck than that. Only about 10% actually die. A couple myths too. Crouching down makes you safer. Does not. If lightning strikes near you, it can still do damage. And lightning does indeed strike the same place twice. So remember all these things as we get closer to summer and we're playing outside.
And for the latest weather news and video, be sure to check us out on social media. You can find us on all of your favorite social media platforms. Just search the National Weather Desk or scan the QR code on the bottom left corner of your screen. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll look at how AI technology is helping improve weather forecasting, and we'll show you the difference between tornadoes and straight line winds.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
When it comes to predicting the weather, scientists are turning to a promising new tool. It relies heavily on AI, and it may be the next big leap on how we stay ahead of deadly weather. Meteorologist Veronica Johnson has more.
You've probably heard meteorologists talk about computer models. They show us where storms might develop. But a powerful new system called Warn on Forecast, or WAFS, is taking that to the next level.
And I think most people are familiar with weather models, right? But those tend to tell us what regions will see severe storms. But the Warn on Forecast system goes a layer beyond that to give us some of the details. So which counties are under the threat over the next few hours, which cities are under the threat, and how severe might those storms be?
That leap forward came to life in March in Missouri when the WAFS tool helped warn of a deadly tornado hours before it hit.
Because the word was able to get out to that rural area so early, they had 125 people come to a shelter.
So how does it work? WAFS, Warn on Forecast, takes in radar and satellite data at record speed, constantly updating as storms evolve.
WAFS takes in radar and satellite data 4 times more rapidly than any other model, so that we get a really accurate picture of where the storms are now and then project them forward. And we'll do that every half hour, send out an entirely new forecast. So it's really built for the rapid pace of severe weather.
And behind the scenes, artificial intelligence is sharpening the results.
Machine learning has helped us by fine-tuning those forecasts. After they come out of the Warn on Forecast model, we have some machine learning tools that make the probability sharper. The answers at the local level are sharper, easier to communicate.
Right now, WAFS, Warn on Forecast, is mostly used behind the scenes, but that's starting to change.
As the program grows and as it becomes more in operations, it will be more and more available for public use, for broadcast meteorologists.
It'll be interesting to see where we are, a year or 2, 5 years certainly from now, on how this is all going to help us and evolve and help just, give warnings faster, quicker, and more accurately.
A forecast that just doesn't warn, but predicts and protects. That's the future on the horizon. For the National Weather Desk, I'm Chief Meteorologist Veronica Johnson in Washington, D.C.
You have no doubt heard your local meteorologist talk about the chance of rain or a chance for precipitation. But what exactly does that mean? Meteorologist David Boyd explains.
You may have wondered, what does the chance of rain mean? Well, let's take a look at a POP, which is the probability of precipitation. And the best way to look at it, it's a combination of confidence and area. How confident we are that there will be rain and the coverage of the rain. So let's say that we are 100% confident that there will be about a 40% coverage of rain in the region. So the chance of rain would end up being about 40%. But let's say that a line of storms is expected to push through the region, but we're only 70% sure that it is going to happen. Well, that may lower the chance of rain to 60% until the confidence increases a little bit more. Let's look at some terms that we use to describe the chance of rain. Isolated usually means a 20 to 30% chance or coverage of rain. A scattered amount would be 40 to 60%. Numerous, 70 to 80% chance. And then widespread, 90 to 100% chance. For the National Weather Desk, I'm meteorologist David Boyd.
Morel mushrooms are beginning to sprout in northern Michigan thanks to warmer temperatures and also wet conditions. Meteorologist Trevor Robideau has more on the weather conditions needed for morels to fruit.
Aaron and Jill with Great Lakes Treats have spent much of their lives in the great outdoors, foraging for mushrooms and other wild treats. In that time, they've learned a lot about a very popular but elusive species, the morel mushroom. Known as a delicacy in many dishes, a species of mushroom that seems to pop up almost at random this time of year with wet conditions.
The ground temperature needs to be a minimum of like 42 degrees in order for the morels to start actually fruiting. So the last couple of weeks have been really good, and I'm hoping that this next week is going to be an excellent time to get out there and start looking for them as well. Mother Nature's cooperating right now. We've had a good bit of rain. These colder nights actually aren't so bad because we're not below freezing.
But even with good conditions, morel mushrooms can be difficult to find. But the veteran hunters will tell you that's what makes it fun.
It's definitely like an Easter egg hunt. It's a little bit of gold fever.
Grenchik also reminds us to keep an eye out for other mushrooms like the false morel and others that look similar.
So when we're talking about the true morel, the Morels species, we're talking about one that's hollow, and also there's a fusing of like how the cap is attached to the stem. And so that's kind of a unique feature that is indicative of the morel mushroom.
Be careful when identifying other mushrooms, as some can look similar but are actually poisonous.
You have to be really careful with these mushrooms because there's a variety of different gyrometra that we have in our woods, and some of them actually are extremely toxic. And so back to that 100% certainty deal, you want to know and recognize without any doubt what you have before you're looking to consume the mushroom.
Regardless or not if you find one, the real reward is being outside with nature.
You're looking for these mushrooms, you don't find any, but then suddenly you realize you just got the best fresh air in the last week, and you know, getting out in nature is a home run either way.
In Wisconsin, the warmer temperatures mean it's sturgeon spawning season. Eric Peterson gives us a closer look at what's known as the sturgeon run, a process that prehistoric fish have been going through for thousands of years.
Near the end of the De Pere River Walk and Wildlife Viewing Pier, Randy Peterson is out for his daily hike. He says he likes to keep an eye on the lake sturgeon spawning below.
I see a few of them. Last year they were here on May 10th with a ton of them. Yeah. Not quite as many this year, but they're here. Beautiful fish.
Experts say these prehistoric sturgeon make it up the Fox River every year. When the water temperature reaches 50 to 60 degrees, spawning begins. It takes about 2 weeks for the eggs to hatch. The larval sturgeon drift downstream 7 miles to the waters of Green Bay and eventually Lake Michigan. They say after 10 to 20 years, young adult sturgeon will return to spawn. The prehistoric fish can live 100 years or more and grow to be 7 feet long and weigh 200 pounds. On Monday morning, Alyssa French and her son Leo arrived to check out the sturgeon for the very first time.
Seeing some cool big splashes. It kind of, we were saying, it kind of looks like little shark fins popping up in the water. So yeah, pretty cool. We've never seen it before, right, Leo? Yep, over there.
In the meantime, spawning continues. Randy Peterson says sturgeon viewing is a unique part of living in the area.
I think it's a fact, it's wildlife, it's fish, great walleye fishing around here. Sturgeon are, a very old species of fish. So I think it's just exciting. Come down here and take a look.
And time now for a short break. As we go, we take to the skies over Buffalo Hills Elk Ranch in Ravenna, Nebraska.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
These are known as Kelvin-Helmholtz waves. Spotted in Bristol, Virginia, it's a rare phenomenon where clouds produce a billowing wave pattern. They appear when there's strong vertical speed shear between 2 air streams. And this is what we call a perfect mackerel sky. The rows of cirrocumulus clouds display a rippling pattern similar to fish scales, hence the name.
Listen to Off the Radar. New episodes every Tuesday. Find it wherever you get your podcasts.
Most severe thunderstorms produce some kind of damage, but how do meteorologists determine if the damage was from a tornado or straight line winds? Meteorologist Karen Wynn has the answer.
Meteorologists from the National Weather Service go out to the damage site and they look at the pattern of the debris. Now, in many cases, a lot of severe storms, they'll produce damage, but the debris looks different. In the case of straight line winds, you notice all the debris tends to point in one direction, and of course it could be a radial pattern indicating a downburst. But when you see the debris strewn about different directions, you can tell there's been rotation in that storm.